This is going to be a video on active range of motion assessment of the shoulder complex. Hi and welcome back to PhysioTutors. The shoulder girdle is a very complex structure comprised of many joints and muscles that act together to allow for movement. During active range of motion assessment, you're going to evaluate the following movements. First, there's elevation through abduction. Ask your patient to place the arms in the anatomic position, meaning the palms face forward with the thumbs pointing towards the side. Then ask your patient to slowly abduct the arms as far as possible. Ask your patient to perform the same movement, but now you're looking at him from the back. To evaluate the movement, make use of the scapulohumeral rhythm. You are going to examine the movements of the humerus, scapula and clavicle. The second movement is elevation through forward flexion. Ask your patient to stand upright and the thumbs point forward, and then your patient is going to slowly forward flex both arms. For extension, ask your patient to stand upright and then instruct him to bring the arms as far back as possible. Make sure that the movement is in the shoulder and that the patient does not compensate from the spine by leaning forward or by scapular retraction. For lateral or external rotation, ask your patient to flex the elbow to 90 degrees and have the upper arm rest against the thorax. The patient is then asked to bring the wrist outward as far as possible without abducting the arm. This movement should be performed carefully in patients who suffered shoulder dislocations. For medial or internal rotation, there are two ways to assess this movement. First, there is the hitchhiking thumb. Ask your patient to extend the thumb and reach as far up the back as possible with it. The spinous processes T5 and T10 represent normal internal rotation degrees. The second way to assess medial or internal rotation is to ask your patient to abduct the arms to 90 degrees and then perform internal rotation. Next up is adduction. Instruct your patient to bring the arms as far as possible in front of the body. Next up is horizontal adduction or cross flexion. Ask your patient to abduct the arms to 90 degrees and then bring the arms as far as possible in front of the body. For scapular protraction, ask your patient to bring the shoulders as far as possible together anteriorly. For scapular retraction, ask your patient to squeeze the shoulder blades together and thus perform retraction. For shoulder elevation, instruct your patients to shrug the shoulders. For shoulder depression, instruct your patient to bring the shoulders towards the floor as far as possible. Alright guys, this was our video on active range of motion assessment of the shoulder complex. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet, and if you want, you can check out the passive range of motion assessment of the shoulder complex by watching this video right here, or check out our video on resisted isometric testing right there. This was Andreas for PhysioTutors. I'll see you next time. Bye.